I thought we had Jack Zervos to talk about his new retail store in Monash and also in Roselands, but it just has come to me that he's too good talent to let go. So Jack, before we go any further, can I just take you back a little to the days before you weren't in retail and you were, using that engineering degree to do some terrific work? Take us back to the days when you were one of the best producers of bedding in Australia and supplying just about everybody worth their salt in this country and beyond.
Yeah, well, thanks, George. I mean, look, I was very fortunate through circumstances and relationships to lead a fourth generation Australian family manufacturing business called AHP that many people may have heard of. Well known nationally through all the retail bedding chains. Their brands were King Coil, Domino, Nature's Rest, many others. Great, successful family business. I think this year's celebrating their 120 years.
Wow.
Won lots of awards. Very proud, obviously. I think they were Australian Family Business of the Year in 1999, which was their centenary. And after I left them, I went to Pacific Brands and ran the Sleepmaker business. So probably responsible at one point between the two brands for making 60-70% of the mattresses in the country. And loved manufacturing, probably because it was the last bastion of dealing with the whole gamut of society, from the unskilled labourer to the entrepreneurial multi-site retailer to designers to hoteliers to specifiers. And then from there, I actually ended up Freedom Furniture, running all their manufacturing. So it was a vertically integrated business. They made their own sofas. At some stages, they were making their own, case good furniture. So we used to make 60,000 upholstered sofa pieces a year across 3 factories in Australia and 1 in New Zealand, with a lot of pride. And that business was part of a global brand known as Steinhoff Asia Pacific, who were one of the largest furniture manufacturers in the world as recently as 5 years ago.
So what happened?
What happened is it's akin to what's happened in every manufacturing sector in Australia. We talk about automobiles. We used to make shirts in this country. We used to make shoes. There was an Adidas factory, if you recall, in Melbourne.
Yep.
So there was an NEC factory in Melbourne making mobile phones, which I visited as a young cadet engineering before that they made Rank Arena televisions. So everything that we use even today, notwithstanding the move to modern technology, although we used to make Osborne computers here as well once upon a time.
Yep. Philips TVs.
Philips, Thorn, Pi.
Yep. Westinghouse.
Alley's Whirlpool. Westinghouse.
Yeah. So what happened? Why did we lose that business? And why is it going to be a little bit longer before we see real production in Australia work productively?
At the risk of being branded unpatriotic, I don't think we will. I don't think we can.
Is that right?
I think the expectation is unrealistic. We can certainly look at smart technology. We can look at things like solar panels and wind turbines. They've all got very low labour input. And that's the key. They've got a lot of smarts. They've got a lot of bits and pieces, a lot of alloys and sort of microprocessors. Manufacturing in this country was built on lots and lots of workers in wide factory spaces. That was manufacturing, and it's wonderful as an ex-manufacturer who was, on the manufacturing skills advisory board, on the industry training advisory board, who was there when the awards were modernised and restructured. I want nothing more than to have productive, busy, bustling factories all over Australia again.
But
I take exception to the people that the chest thumpers, as I call them, unrealistically sprout Australian manufacturing, which is fine. They acknowledge that if we're going to manufacture in this country again, 2 things have to happen. We either need to go back to tariffs and protection, which is where manufacturing excelled, and/or we need to go to a huge population spike. We need more and more people coming in quickly, like we had in the 50s and 60s, create demand for manufactured goods. We're also prepared to pay a premium, because you're always going to be able to buy them cheaper without tariffs from somewhere else. I think they're the challenges that we need to get our head around. Our input costs in this country are amongst the highest in the world, not just labour. It's can't just sit there and say we need to get rid of penalty rates and do headline grabs that become a political football. Our input costs include things like space, building factories, compliance,
energy,
fire systems,
energy, yeah,
all these things. Freight, moving stuff around this country is horrendously expensive. Truck drivers still don't get paid enough money.
Gee.
So you've got all these oxymorons that you're trying to overcome, try and manufacture stuff. The other thing that people forget is in 2020 and beyond, the life cycle of products is about 1/10 of what it used to be. We get a new lounge every 5 years. We get a new mattress every 5 years. My parents, and I'm sure your parents, had the same lounge for 30 years.
Yep, correct.
And it was Australian made. It was a Parker or a Berryman or a Moran. Those brands don't exist anymore because one thing that happened surreptitiously that no one realised is the store became the brand. You don't buy a Parker or a Berryman anymore. You buy a Harvey Norman or a 40 Winks. So when the store becomes the brand, the consumer isn't aspirational. Not coming in and asking for a Berryman because Mr. and Mrs. Donikian had a Berryman. Coming to see what's on sale because we sell discounts today. We don't sell quality. What's 5 years interest free? What's look nice because we saw something similar on the block.
Fast fashion.
It's all fast fashion. All fast fashion and instant gratification. We don't want to wait 12 weeks to make a Victorian ash sofa. Fabric that used to be made by Baycart Textiles at Lilydale. Okay, so we used to make fabric here. We used to make timber frames were made here. We used to make staples and nails in this country. We don't do any of that anymore. So as much as it's great to be patriotic, we also need to be realistic and realise that if we want to start manufacturing again, and we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't, we need to address the cost of labour. Well, then your first problem is, how do you live? It's an expensive country to live in. So if I'm paying $1 million to buy a house, how can I afford to take a lower wage? If I'm paying $100,000 to educate my children at university, how can I afford a lower wage? If I'm now paying, I was at dinner last night and someone said they're paying $30 in tolls to get to work. So there's it's a Rubik's Cube. Whichever way you look at it, the colours aren't lining up. So, our governments of all ideologies are saying, we need to invest in training. You can be the best trained person in the world. If you don't have enough people demanding your product, or if they can't afford to buy it, what have you achieved?
Yeah, nothing. Jack Zervos, thank you very much for dipping into your treasure trove of not only experience but memories and giving us a sense of a reality check, let's put it that way. Because we hear people thumping their chests all the time and saying this, that and the other, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Look, a lot of people mean well, but when you put things as clearly as you have done, it's worth a lot of good thinking too. Thank you for the good thinking time. Good luck with the new business and best wishes to Elise.
Appreciate it. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you.